What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be doing a first impressions on the Strike-MVMNT Easy Lifter. So these are the signature lifter from Strike-MVMNT for their athlete, Elijah Muhammad. One of the most popular CrossFit athletes out there and a super strong dude. Actually, probably one of my favorite people in the CrossFit space to just interact with in general. Super chill guy. And it's only fitting for him to get his own lifting shoe. This is the Easy Lifter. I'm not so sure that there's gonna be like a normal lifter. So when I first saw this shoe, I kind of had some reservations. I was afraid that it might be like a CrossFit weightlifting shoe, which typically never really does all that well. But when I first got it in hand, and this isn't the first time that I've ever seen it, I was actually pretty blown away by how sturdy this shoe feels. It feels like a weightlifting shoe, and it should because of, I guess, the pedigree that goes behind it. So today, I'm gonna take you around the Easy Lifter, give you my first impressions of it, and then I'm gonna go into a workout. I've got some snatches and some back squats, and we're gonna see how this shoe performs as a weightlifting shoe. So first off, the construction of the shoe is the Clarino Micro Suede. So with the Haze, there's also a model called the Sways, and it has the same kind of upper. I did not personally like the Sways, mainly because I didn't get a size that fit me. I thought that they just ran too small, but what I could take away from the upper in itself is that it's a more sturdy feeling upper compared to the normal mesh that they had on the Haze model. And it's no wonder they carried it over to the Easy Lifter because of those properties of just being able to hold your foot in place a little bit better. So it's a very minimalistic shoe, as you would expect from Strike-MVMNT. This is kind of like their design philosophy. It's like intelligent minimalism. So we have that micro suede fabric all throughout the upper. It's like a single piece upper. There's perforations in the toe box and around the lateral and medial sides of the shoe. And then you have some, I guess, overlays. I mean, they're not really overlays. They're just kind of like little cutouts in the back part of the shoe because it is still that single piece. It's just there to give the shoe some accent lines, I guess. At the back part, we have a heel pull tab, and then there's another kind of suede-like material that lines the ankle collar. It's a, I guess, softer feeling suede than the exterior, but it's not so far off. And inside of the ankle collar, we have some ankle cushioning, but it's not a ton. I think it feels good enough. There's kind of like a pinched heel design. I feel like that should somewhat prevent heel slip, but I haven't even put these shoes on, so I don't even know yet. Coming around to the top part of the shoe, we have a single strap that is removable. So it has these buckles on the sides, and you can see that there's a loop there, and you can pull that buckle out if you didn't want it to be there. I don't know why you would want to do that if you're using these for weightlifting, but if you, I guess, wanted to transfer into a CrossFit workout and you didn't want the strap there for whatever reason, you could just take it off. There's really nothing special to the lacing design of the shoe. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pairs of eyelets, and then at the very top, there's like a little metal piece that says Strike-MVMNT on it, which is a pretty nice touch. And of course, the accents, because it is an easy model, are gold on this. And then you have the Strike-MVMNT logo on the side, on the lateral side, and then you have the Strike-MVMNT logo in gold on the tongue. And then, of course, you have the medial side buckle, which is also removable. We have a little accent stripe right there on the medial side of gold. Another cool thing that they included with the shoe, and with pretty much all Strike-MVMNT shoes, is the pleasure pocket. So if you wanted to tuck away your laces, you could use that little pocket and tuck them away. The laces on the shoe are a nice heavy lace. I think they're the same that they use on the Haze. I'm not so sure there, but it's a nice material. It feels like it stayed tied pretty well because of the thickness of it, but we'll see. And then the tongue is gusseted in the inside of the shoe. Let's take out the insole here. And we have the cork layer on top of an anatomically molded insole. I think this is the same basic design that they use for their Haze and Sways and everything, but it feels a little bit more robust, a little bit stiffer. Like, it's not designed to flex as much, but it's going to give you just a little bit of cushioning. I would say that that's maybe 2.5 millimeters of thickness. And then it says easy lifter, elevated platform, 19 millimeter drop, S2L last, and static core design. I am not so sure what the heel is made out of. I want to say that it's made out of TPU on this shoe. It's like a softer feeling kind of exterior, I guess, to the touch. It's like almost a little rubbery, but I would bet that it is a TPU material. The outsole is like the cross-platform outsole that they use on the Sways and on the Haze, which has flex grooves in the forefoot, and then it's got this kind of like hexagon tread pattern on the rims, and then in the inside, it's got like a triangular diamond-shaped pattern. And the grip on Haze and Sways is excellent, so I'm not too worried about the grip on this shoe. It does feel pretty tacky now that I'm just kind of rubbing my hand on it, but we'll see how it does when it meets the platform. The flexibility of this shoe is the thing that kind of was the most surprising to me, because if you look at it, and you look at all the Strike Movement shoes, they're all more on the flexible side. And this seems like it would be on the flexible side, but it's sturdy. It's not flexible from like the midfoot to heel. And for obvious reasons, you don't really want it to be flexible in that area. We'll see if I can flex it under my foot, because I mean, flexing it with my hand, holding it here, that's a completely different story than putting weight or load on it. And another thing with these shoes is that when I weighed them, they're on the fairly light side for a weightlifting shoe. I got them in at 16.8 ounces for a men's size 10.5. So that's not a hefty weightlifting shoe, but I mean, I guess kind of going back to like Strike Movement type shoes, it kind of falls right in line with what you would think a weightlifting shoe from them would weigh. Okay, I am going to try these on for the first time right now and kind of tell you how they feel on my feet. Okay, so I got these in a 10.5, and they fit me like right on the money. Sways in a 10.5 were like way too short for me. They feel more like the sizing of Haze. There's an ample amount of toe box width in these shoes. I don't think anyone's gonna really have that much of an issue with the width. Maybe a little bit with the overall like volume, like the height of the toe box, because I do feel the fabric making contact with the top part of my toes, but it's not uncomfortable. But I don't really have like fat toes or anything like that, so that's never really an issue for me. But it's worth noting that, you know, if you have like thicker toes, fatter feet, you might have an issue, but otherwise, I don't think the width is going to be an issue here. Okay, so now I'm going to get into a lifting session. We're going to snatch, and then we're going to do some back squats, and I'm going to kind of talk you through how they feel in my first lifting session. Today's snatch session isn't too demanding. It's 10 singles, increasing in percentage, as much rest as I want. Yeah, grip is good on these. I guess the first thing I want to say about these shoes is, if you're worried about them being too narrow, they are absolutely not. Got plenty of space, almost too much space for me. That's a complaint that I normally have because my feet aren't like super wide. Left foot got stuck on that one. Got under it pretty quickly, but my left foot didn't move at all. Okay, now we're into working sets. Hip is still kind of wonky. Feels super tight. That one felt it felt okay. It wasn't like terrible, but I felt like I didn't get a ton of lift. Got under that one. Really easy to stabilize. Didn't really feel off balance when I landed. I just landed all the way deep into the squat. So I had to stay there for a second, make sure I had the lift, stand up. No issues in terms of compression. Obviously, this is not super heavy right now, but it doesn't feel like the shoe's compressing under any kind of load. Stabilizes pretty easily. Grip is good. Grip is very good. I think because of the grip being so good, that's what made that first lift. That's what made my foot stick on that first lift, where I didn't move my foot very much. Whoa, good. That was the first one that felt like money. The reason why I'm like taking to them very easily is because they feel like they're training shoes that have a more solid and elevated heel. And if you know me, you watch my videos, I do probably 85% of my lifting in trainers, and then the other 15% are the times I had to use lifting shoes for reviews. I don't have anything against lifting shoes, but you know, I'm a CrossFitter, so I tend to do all my lifts in CrossFit shoes. I feel like pretty natural lifting in these, which is a very good thing. Like, it was easy for me to jump into these shoes and start going. Sometimes I need to like have a break-in period with some Olympic weightlifting shoes, but these, I feel like I'm lifting in them pretty decent for the first time. I really like that the forefoot feels very connected in these shoes. Like, it feels unlike other weightlifting shoes, especially lately, that have a toe spring angle, which is very weird for weightlifting shoes, like the Lus and Tier L2s. They both have a toe spring angle, which is it's very odd. These feel like very planted in the forefoot, and then they feel also low in the forefoot, which is great. Not squishy at all. There is definitely that arch is prominent. I know that's going to bother some people though. Money. That one felt good, like perfect. Landing felt like right on the money. All mine felt a little bit short on my left, like a little bit forward with my left, but nothing really to cause concern or that I really had to fight to fix. That one felt like it, but like started standing up and stabilized. Okay, so that one I threw a little bit behind my head, and I had to sit there and just kind of stabilize it. But the landing felt planted. Didn't feel like my balance was off when I landed. Just felt like, boom, my shoulders maybe went back a little bit much, and then just had to fix that and then stand up. I might actually go a little bit higher than planned. We'll see. It's been feeling pretty decent. I haven't missed anything yet, knock on wood. But this is like, whatever, the weight that just has my number all the time. Maybe not today. Not today! That one felt solid. Obviously, I sat in the hole for a little bit, but man, lockout felt like amazing on that one. No real issue stabilizing it in the hole. That one felt money. So far, I'm really liking these shoes. Like, just taking to them for me feels natural. They feel like trainers with like an elevated, more solid heel. The forefoot has some flex, so it's for sure more flexible than most any other weightlifting shoe. Like, the most similar I could say that these shoes feel like are like L1s. and maybe like classic weightlifting shoes, ASICS 727 in terms of like flexibility. But man, there's no compression in the heel. They're stable. I really like the 3/4 inch heel. I don't particularly care for 1-inch heels. I can use them nowadays, but it took a lot of really trying to get used to that 1-inch heel. It's just not something that my levers need so much, and I feel like I always just do better with a 3/4 inch heel. Okay, that was the only wonky one that I've done so far. And I know exactly why that was wonky, because I started with the bar so far away from me, lot farther than normal. And like I noticed it like right when the bar left the ground. I noticed it when I even just set up. I don't even know why I went for that, but it was just started out, continued to be out, and I caught it a little bit forward with my right. But I think I still had a pretty good lockout. So not that big a deal, maybe soft shoulders, but my lockout was, with my elbows were okay. But yeah, I could definitely pinpoint what went wrong in that lift. And I don't think it was any part or any problem from the shoe. And so far it's been so good. Like I really don't have too much to say about these. And you know, here's the thing with weightlifting shoes is that they're just shoes in general, right? It's all subjective. You like what you like. Not one shoe or one size is gonna fit all. And it's great to have options. If you want a real stable 1-inch heel, you could always go with Lose. If you wanted a wooden 1-inch heel that was a little bit more flexible, then you could go with the Elites. And then if you wanted a 3/4 inch heel that was a little bit more stable, flexible, it had a pretty good balance, you could go with the L2s. Of course, you could still go with the L1s, which are more flexible and have the 3/4 inch heel and a really wide toe box. These, I feel like, might fit that crowd the most, the L1 crowd. And there's nothing wrong with that. Got under it, a little forward on that one, and that was kind of the same issue that I had with the last lift where I started it more forward. I ended up more forward in the catch. Kind of got pitched to my toes there, but pretty easily fixed that, rocked back to my heels, and saved the lift. Obviously not the best lift yet, but I think we're getting up there. We're at 86% for me of my one rep, which is 225. Ooh. Not the best lift to finish the day, but you know, sometimes that's how it's gonna be. At least I was locked out on that one. Definitely some room in the shoe for me, in the 10.5, which is like what I wear my, pretty much everything from Strike Movement. And that 10.5, depending on what shoe from Strike Movement, can either be tight like the Sways, can fit perfect like Haze, or it can be tight but wearable like the Transit. This really depends. Strike Movement sizing is kind of not their strongest suit, but you know, it is what it is. I'd say that these fit more like Haze, the most like Haze, compared to any of the other ones. They've got a very wide toe box. And if there's anything that you can take away from this video, it's that they have a wide toe box. They have a pretty flexible forefoot, not like overly flexible, but you know, definitely more so than most weightlifting shoes. The heel, incompressible, in like, I think the heel height is perfect on these. One thing that might bug people is the arch feel might be a little bit much on them. Doesn't really bother me too much because I don't have flat feet. What else? The grip on these is bonkers, like excellent grip. Forefoot ground feel is also excellent. And like I said before, the best way for me to explain how these shoes feel is that they kind of feel like you're lifting in really stable training shoes, which I think for me is a good thing. Like, I don't know if everybody's gonna like it, but if you prefer a more flexible forefoot on your weightlifting shoes, similar to like L1s, Asics 727, maybe even the Fast Lifts, then I think that this might be a very good shoe for you. Even like Addy Powers, Addy Power 1s, Addy Power 2s, 3s, maybe not 2s, 3s, 1s for sure, but they don't have kind of that pop that 1s have. But otherwise, no clue when these shoes come out. No clue how much they cost. This is still very early, but as soon as I get all that information, obviously, I'll get it out to you guys. This is still a first impressions video, and that's the first time I put these shoes on and lifted with them, and I thought it was a pretty good experience for the first time. So if you guys have any questions about the Strike Movement Easy Lifters, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe. Thanks for watching.